News, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. I'm Rick Wiles. Today is Tuesday, December 19, 2023. 170 close associates of Mossad pedophile agent Jeffrey Epstein will not have a happy new year. A Manhattan federal judge has ordered that files containing names of influential American men must be unsealed in the first week of January 2024. Let's discuss this article published today by London's Daily Mail. As you see the headline, over 170 of Jeffrey Epstein's high-profile associates will be named in court documents set to be unsealed in the first days of 2024. What do you think, Doc?
Finally,
we already know only 170.
Right, we already know who number 34 is, and that's Alan Dershowitz. He's already come out and said he's on that list, and he's come out to say he wants a public accounting for anything related to Jeffrey Epstein. But 170 are being named as well. Dozens of Jeffrey Epstein's high-profile associates are in for a New Year's surprise, as they will be named in court documents set to be released at the beginning of 2024. The pedophile's powerful friends are set to be exposed as part of a vast unsealing that a judge ordered on Monday will take place in just 14 days. That will take the release day to January 1st, but as that's a holiday, it will be likely the files will be made public the following day.
What do you think, Doc? Any big surprises and names that we've never expected before? I mean, we know the names of, like, Bill Gates and so forth.
Right.
All right. That's not going to be a surprise. But do you think that there are going to be some oh my moments when that list comes out?
Probably a few. A lot of these, though, it's suspected that's going to be people that have worked with Jeffrey Epstein, like pilots, janitors, housekeepers, things along that line. But 177 people will be informed across hundreds of files, which will shed new light on the late financier's sex trafficking operation and his network of influence. Now, Judge Loretta Preska wrote "unsealed in full" next to the names of 177 does who are Epstein's friends, recruiters, victims, and others whose names will be revealed when the material is released within the coming weeks. Now, this material is related to a defamation case that was brought by Prince Andrew's accuser, Virginia Roberts, in a New York suit against Epstein's Madam Ghislaine Maxwell. Some of the does are identified in the ruling through links to interviews they've already given to the media, which the judge cited as a reason why they should not stay private. Now, the material related is they include the housekeepers on Epstein's private island in the Caribbean, where some of the worst abuse that he perpetrated was carried out. In her ruling, Judge Preska gave 14 days for any does who objected to their documents being made public to object, after which they would be unsealed. And so the countdown is on for those 177 people to either file some sort of response to the court or to have their names revealed.
Doc, yesterday the Wall Street Journal published a report in which it revealed that, here's the headline right here from the journal, Jeffrey Epstein never stopped abusing women and his VIP circle helped make it possible. Inside that article, it reveals that Bill Gates continued his relationship with Epstein long after Epstein was convicted.
Yes, convicted, tried, and sentenced.
And sentenced and listed in the state of Florida as a
sex offender.
A sex offender. And so it blew a hole in Bill Gates's story.
Yes.
That he only knew Epstein before his arrest.
Right.
That he didn't have any contact with him after the arrest. Let's look at what the Wall Street Journal reported yesterday.
So in the years after he registered as a sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein was rarely alone. He was often accompanied by attractive young women in their late teens or early 20s. They opened the door at his New York townhouse when billionaires came calling. They sat beside him at meetings with bankers and celebrities. They traveled with him on his private jet to visit scientists, political leaders, and tech company founders. Photos of some of them with Jeffrey Epstein appeared in tabloid newspapers as well. Now, earlier this year, the Wall Street Journal revealed that numerous prominent people had met with Epstein after he pleaded guilty in Florida in 2008 to soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution. Many of those people said they believed the convicted sex offender had reformed. Most, including Bill Gates, said they now regret their association with Jeffrey Epstein and that they didn't know that he was using those ties in his dealings with women. Gates' spokeswoman said the software billionaire neither knew nor interacted with the women that Epstein brought to Seattle. Now, there's a lot of speculation out there that one of the reasons for the separation of Bill and Melinda Gates related directly back to this association with Jeffrey Epstein. That's never been publicly stated, but it wasn't too long afterwards that after the separation,
Mrs.
that
Gates
Melinda
said, "I'm
Gates
out of
said,
here."
yes, and that she mentioned Jeffrey Epstein as part of that, and so.
Look, I'm going to, I want to reiterate my theory on Epstein. I am absolutely convinced he was a Israeli Mossad agent. Convinced of it. If you go back in time in the USA, even to the 90s, when George Herbert Walker Bush, Papa Bush, was in the White House, Papa Bush, calling him Papa Bush, the older President Bush, was not a hardcore Zionist. In fact, the Zionists had a lot of problems with President Bush. Now, his son was Zionist all the way.
Yes.
But President Bush Sr. was not. Back in the 80s and the early 90s, the FBI was still arresting Israeli spies.
Yes.
Inside the USA. In September 10th, 2001, the day before 9/11, the U.S. Army released an intelligence report that said that the Zionists were pros at carrying out terrorist acts that made it appear that it was done by Arabs.
September 10th?
September 10th.
Are you kidding me?
No, September 10th.
Oh, my goodness. I've never heard this before.
2001.
Wow.
So what am I saying? America had the government, American society had not yet been conquered by the Zionists up to September 11. Doc, this country fell to Zionism on September 11, 2001. How did America fall so quickly and become Israeli-occupied territory? Because that's what we are. The United States of America is Israeli-occupied territory, the entire country. They took over the Congress. They took over the White House. They took over the Pentagon. They took over the CIA. They took over the Defense Intelligence Agency. They took over everything. They took over the American evangelical churches. They took over the news media. They took over cable television. They took over the whole country since 2001. How? How did they do it? Jeffrey Epstein. It's just that simple. Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent, and he was not a billionaire. He was an actor.
Yeah, acting like a billionaire.
He was an agent who pretended to be a billionaire. That was his cover. He worked for billionaires.
Yes.
But he himself was not a billionaire. He didn't own any of the mansions. The money was not in his name. He pretended to be a billionaire. What was his business? His business
Blackmail.
was as mysterious as Hunter Biden's business. What did Jeffrey Epstein do to earn his billions? How did he become a billionaire? Warren Buffett, I know how he became a billionaire. Bill Gates, I know how he became a billionaire. Michael Bloomberg, I know how he became a billionaire. How did Jeffrey Epstein become a billionaire? There's no business. We're told that he managed the funds of billionaires.
Like Les Wexner.
Yes.
So.
Well, who else were his clients? Wexler was his handler.
Yes.
That's who owned the mansions. through a series, you know, a various layers of foundations and trust and LLCs and so forth. But Jeffrey Epstein himself was not a billionaire. He did not have a business. He pretended to be an economic advisor. Are you telling me that he was so good at managing the money of billionaires that he himself became a billionaire? He made that much money advising them? And who were the other clients? They've never come forward. We've never been told who his clients were. It's because he didn't have any clients. He had paymasters, Israeli Mossad.
Right.
What they did is that they had hidden cameras in every Jeffrey Epstein mansion. There were rooms. This is according to testimony of the young women.
Yes.
There were rooms in mansions where there was a lot of video equipment.
Yes.
And there were full-time employees in those rooms monitoring the video recording.
Yes. We know that for sure in the New York mansion.
So where did the video files go? Who received them? Where are they?
Who has them right now? Yes.
Why hasn't the FBI seized these video files? If they were in Jeffrey Epstein's homes, why didn't the FBI go in and seize the files?
Well, supposedly they did, Rick.
No, that was only in New York.
Well, remember, they had the FBI team down in St. James Island, too.
Did they seize the files? What about
All we
New
saw was
Mexico?
FBI, all we saw were FBI jackets through windows.
What about
really.
New Mexico? Did they ever go in? Did they ever go in the place in New Mexico?
Not that I recall.
So they weren't interested in the evidence, because the evidence would show you not only who was blackmailed, but who did the blackmailing.
Right.
Because it's linked back to Israeli Mossad. And the reason nobody's investigating it is because too many powerful, influential, rich American men have been entrapped by Israel. It's the oldest trick in spying. It has worked for thousands of years.
But Jeffrey Epstein industrialized it.
Yes.
And made it a business. I mean, made it a business.
Yeah, but this trick has been used for thousands of years. You entrap powerful men in a sex scandal. But now, with technology, you can record it. And so the Israeli Zionists perfected blackmail, sexual blackmail. And they took over the United States of America with it in about 25 years.
Right.
I mean, it was fast. And now you can't get anything done because there are so many people in the FBI, in the White House, in the Congress, in the news media, judges. There's so many people who are implicated in the scandals, whose names have never come out.
Right.
To this day, we don't know that they were on the Lolita Express airplane jet to the various Epstein sex playgrounds. We don't know to this day. We know of names like Donald Trump. Robert Kennedy came out last month and outed himself,
right,
because he knew he was going to be outed. Who else? Who else has been on either on the plane with Epstein or in his mansions? Who were the other people who were video recorded having sex with underage girls?